Hey everyone! Buckle up, because today we're diving deep into one of the most iconic villains in all of pop culture again, the Joker. This guy isn't your run-of-the-mill bad guy, oh no. He's on a whole other level. The Joker is fascinating because he breaks the mold of what we expect from a villain. He's got this insane mix of chaos, intelligence, and unpredictability that keeps audiences hooked, whether we're reading the comics, watching the movies, or playing the games. He's not just a foil to Batman, he's the antithesis of everything Batman stands for. Where Batman is about order and morality, the Joker. He's pure chaos and anarchy. That's what makes him so compelling and so iconic. And let's talk versatility. Over the years, we've seen so many different versions of the Joker, each offering its own spin. From goofy and clownish to deeply disturbing and psychologically layered, every portrayal brings something fresh to the table. So, let's break it down and take a look at the Jokers who've left their mark on pop culture. Cesar Romero, the OG TV Joker. Back in the 60s, Romero gave us a Joker that was all about campy, clownish fun. He wasn't terrifying, he was entertaining. Perfect for the colorful, over-the-top tone of the Adam West Batman series. Sure, it wasn't super deep, but Romero set the stage for the Joker as a pop culture icon. And let's not forget, the man refused to shave his mustache for the role, painting the white makeup right over it. That's a vibe. Jack Nicholson, the gangster Joker. In 1989, Nicholson brought us a Joker with flair, charisma, and just the right amount of menace. This version was part mob boss, part lunatic, with a twisted sense of humor. Jack's performance was larger than life, with that unforgettable smile and laugh. It was dangerous, it was hilarious, it was classic Jack. Mark Hamill, the voice of chaos. Starting in 1992, Hamill took the Joker to new heights in Batman, the animated series. His voice acting nailed that perfect balance of dark humor and outright psychopathy. Fans often call this the definitive comic book Joker, and honestly, they've got a point. His laugh? Absolutely legendary. Heath Ledger, the anarchist. Oh man, where do we even start? In The Dark Knight, Ledger delivered a Joker that was downright chilling. He's not about money or power, he just wants to watch the world burn. This version was a masterclass in chaos theory, with every moment feeling terrifyingly real. The Oscar win? 100% deserved. This wasn't just acting, this was art. Joaquin Phoenix, the tragic Joker. Fast forward to 2019, and we get Joaquin Phoenix's hauntingly raw take in Joker. This one's a deep dive into the man behind the madness, showing how a society that ignores its outcasts can create monsters. It's gritty, emotional, and unsettling in all the right ways. Phoenix's Oscar-winning performance gave us a Joker for the modern age, a reflection of our own world's struggles. Barry Keoghan, the newcomer. In 2022, Keoghan gave us just a glimpse of his Joker in The Batman, but wow, was it memorable. His take feels grotesque, twisted, and deeply unsettling. We haven't seen much yet, but the potential for something truly horrifying is there. Yeah. And then, there's Jared Leto's Joker from Suicide Squad. Look, I know this is a polarizing one, so let's be real for a second. His Joker was all about aesthetic choices, the tattoos, the grills, the edgy gangster vibe, but it didn't really land for most fans. The performance? It had moments, but it never quite captured what makes the Joker so compelling. Plus, all the behind-the-scenes drama didn't help. But hey, there's a lot to unpack here. Let's get into it. Alright, let's start with the most obvious thing, his look. It's hands down one of the most controversial takes on the character we've ever seen. Fans were divided, some thought it was bold, others felt it missed the mark entirely. Why? Well, because it's such a drastic departure from the classic Joker we all know and love. Leto's Joker is all about that hypermodern, over-the-top gangster aesthetic. Let's break it down piece by piece. The hair is short, slicked back, and neon green. It's a far cry from the messy or chaotic hairstyles we've seen in other versions. This Joker's hair feels too polished, controlled, even, and that's already a red flag for a character who's supposed to embody chaos. Instead of the grotesque, painted-on grin we're used to, Leto's Joker has this clean, almost sterile makeup job. The red on his lips is minimal, and there's no iconic clownish smile to be found. The tattoos, oh boy, these are probably the most divisive part of his design. He's got damaged written right across his forehead, a choice that screams, "Look how crazy I am," in the least subtle way possible. There's also a fake Joker smile tattooed on one cheek, along with playing cards, teardrops, and other random symbols scattered across his body. And let's not forget those shiny, metallic gold teeth. They're supposed to represent damage from past fights with Batman, but they end up feeling more like a prop than a meaningful detail. Leto's Joker rocks a wardrobe that screams modern gangster boss. Think crocodile skin purple coats, flashy open shirts, and lots of tattoos on display. Oh, and he's dripping in gold chains and rings, like some kind of criminal pimp. Here's the thing, the Joker is a character rooted in chaos, madness, and unpredictability. He's not supposed to be tied down to trends or aesthetics, and yet, Leto's Joker feels very much like a product of its time. By turning the Joker into a glammed-up, hyper-stylized gangster, the design lost a lot of what makes him timeless. He's no longer a symbol of abstract chaos, he's been reduced to a specific subculture that doesn't really align with the character's essence. And let's talk about this forehead-damaged tattoo. It's so on the nose that it hurts. Instead of showing us the Joker's fractured psyche through his actions or dialogue, we get a literal label stamped on his head. Subtlety? Out the window. The best Jokers, like Heath Ledger or Mark Hamill's versions, balance humor and horror. Their looks reflected their inner chaos, the messy hair, the grotesque smile, the unhinged energy. Leto's Joker, on the other hand, feels too controlled, too superficial. He's all flash and no substance. At its core, the design tried too hard to modernize the Joker without preserving what makes the character iconic. The Joker isn't just another gangster, he's a force of nature. He's chaos personified. And while it's great to try new things, this version felt like it was prioritizing style over substance. Where other Jokers are timeless, Leto's feels stuck in a very specific time and aesthetic, one that just doesn't match the character's deeper themes. Sure, some fans appreciated the bold direction, but for many, it strayed too far from what the Joker is supposed to represent: madness, anarchy, and pure unpredictability. Jared Leto's Joker isn't without its defenders. Some people liked the fresh take. But for a lot of fans, this version just didn't deliver the psychological depth or timeless chaos we expect from the clown prince of crime. Now, let's talk about Jared Leto's performance as an actor in Suicide Squad because, let's be honest, it left a lot of fans disappointed too. One of the biggest criticisms of Leto's Joker is that it felt too theatrical and overdone. Instead of coming across as genuinely unhinged, he gave us something that felt more like a forced caricature. The constant weird noises, purring, and that over-the-top laugh? It just didn't land. The Joker's laugh is supposed to send chills down your spine. Leto's version? It felt awkward, like he was trying too hard to sound crazy but missed the mark entirely. A lot of fans felt that Leto was focused more on acting crazy than actually embodying the Joker's deeper insanity. It's like he was ticking off a checklist of weird things the Joker might do instead of letting the character's madness flow naturally. Here's the thing, the Joker is supposed to be so much more than just some random guy acting erratic. In other portrayals, he's a chaotic mastermind, a symbol of anarchy, and an intellectual threat to Batman. But in Leto's version, that depth just wasn't there. The character felt shallow. His actions didn't seem to have any deeper meaning or philosophy behind them, which is such a key part of what makes the Joker terrifying. Instead of being a twisted genius, he came off as erratic and aimless. The Joker should feel unpredictable and dangerous, a character who's both scary and magnetic at the same time. But Leto's Joker? He lacked that sense of menace and came off as kind of goofy. Instead of being someone you couldn't take your eyes off, he felt like an afterthought. And let's be real, when you're playing the Joker, you're stepping into big shoes. Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, Joaquin Phoenix, even Mark Hamill's voice performance, these are portrayals that brought incredible depth, subtlety, and psychological weight to the character. All actors captured the Joker's complexity in a way that felt raw and real. Ledger was an anarchist with a terrifying intellect, and Phoenix was a tragic, deeply broken man unraveling into chaos. In comparison, Leto's Joker felt shallow. His performance focused more on external quirks than internal conflict. Where Ledger and Phoenix drew you in with quiet intensity, Leto seemed like he was trying to shock the audience but without any real substance behind it. It felt more like a performance than a transformation. Now, to be fair, part of the problem wasn't entirely Leto's fault. His Joker had barely any screen time in Suicide Squad. He was more of a side character, and his scenes didn't do much to explore his personality or motivations. Reports suggest a lot of Leto's material was cut from the final film, which might have left his performance feeling disjointed. But even with what we got, it's hard to see how more screen time would have fixed the core issues. The scenes he did have felt unnecessary. They didn't add much to the story or the character's legacy. Instead of enhancing the film, his Joker came off as filler, a flashy distraction rather than a key player. We also have to talk about this. Jared Leto went full-on method for the role, and, honestly, it was a lot. He sent castmates some pretty disturbing gifts, like used condoms and dead animals, in an attempt to stay in character. All this behind-the-scenes drama built up massive expectations. People thought, wow, if he's going this far, his Joker must be groundbreaking. But when the final product hit the screen, it didn't deliver. Critics and fans alike questioned whether all that method acting was even worth it, especially when the performance itself felt flat. It ended up feeling more like a publicity stunt than a meaningful contribution to the role. So, why did Jared Leto's Joker fall flat for so many people? It comes down to this: his performance felt forced and surface level, lacking the psychological depth we've come to expect from the Joker. His over-the-top antics both on and off the screen didn't translate into a compelling character. And compared to other iconic Jokers, Leto's portrayal just didn't leave a lasting impact. Let's dive into another big issue with Jared Leto's Joker, the fan expectations. And honestly, this is where Suicide Squad really shot itself in the foot. First off, the marketing for Suicide Squad totally hyped up the Joker as a central part of the movie. I mean, remember those trailers? They made it seem like he was going to be the star, or at least a major player in the plot. Naturally, fans were pumped. This is the freaking Joker we're talking about. But then, the movie dropped, and what did we get? Barely any Joker at all. His role was tiny, and worse, it felt completely irrelevant to the story. A lot of fans walked out of the theater feeling straight up betrayed. The marketing had promised one thing, but the actual film? It was a totally different story. So, why did this happen? Well, it all comes down to the script and the way the movie was handled during production. Behind the scenes, Suicide Squad went through a ton of changes. Warner Brothers basically reworked the entire movie during post-production, and in the process, a lot of the Joker's scenes got cut. Because so much of his material was removed, the Joker we saw in the final cut felt shallow and underdeveloped. There was no time to really understand his motivations or connect him to the bigger picture. And this is where it stings the most. It felt like the Joker was only included to sell tickets. Think about it. His scenes didn't add much to the story, and his interactions with other characters were mostly disconnected from the main plot. Fans were left thinking, was the Joker only here for the trailers? And honestly, it's hard to argue against that. It's like he was used as a flashy piece of marketing bait, rather than being an actual part of the movie's narrative. Even the film's director, David Ayer, has admitted this was a problem. He later said that a lot of Jared Leto's scenes were cut during editing. According to Ayer, if those scenes had made it into the movie, the Joker's role would have been much bigger, and his character might have made more sense. But here's the thing, fans don't care about what could have been. They care about what they actually saw on screen. And what they saw was a Joker who felt out of place and completely underutilized. So what can we say to wrap this up? Jared Leto's Joker in Suicide Squad definitely made an impression, but, let's be real, it wasn't the kind anyone was hoping for. The criticisms range from his unorthodox design and over-the-top acting choices to a script that barely gave the character room to breathe. The hyper-stylized gangster look, complete with tattoos and gold teeth, felt off to a lot of fans. It sacrificed the Joker's symbolic depth for a modern aesthetic that just didn't click. Then there's Leto's infamous method acting. The behind-the-scenes antics hyped everyone up, but the final result didn't deliver on those sky-high expectations. But hold up, was all of this Leto's fault? Not entirely. Let's not forget the heavy cuts to his screen time, questionable direction, and the movie's obsession with style over substance. All of that played a huge role in why this version of the Joker didn't land the way it could have. Love him or hate him, Leto's Joker is a prime example of how hard it is to reinvent such an iconic character. Maybe with a stronger script or more time to develop, we could have seen the potential shine through. But in the end, his Joker feels more like a failed experiment than the timeless villain we all wanted. It's a lesson, though, a reminder that finding the right balance between tradition and innovation is key.